Hello?
Hello, I'm Gary Bellamy. Welcome to Down the Line. What do you want to talk about tonight? Give me a ring, 0800 068 7060, or email downtheline@bbc.co.uk. Food. We know a lot more about food these days and healthy eating, yet as a nation we're getting fatter. What's going on? And also, what's going in to our food? Not just chemicals and additives, but germs. Well, we thought we'd get in an expert, Dr. Melvin Kidwell, to try and sort out food fact from food fiction. That's coming up later, but first, let's go to the phones. Okay, Monica Dowlett, hello. Where are you from?
Gary, I'm from Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, and I'm in England now.
Right.
Working out here as a health and nutrition coach.
Oh, interesting.
Been out here for a few years, and I must say I'm starting to see the huge American influence in the food here now, and it's really starting to concern me.
Right. Why is it starting to concern you? You think there's too much...
It's the processed fake foods, and I'm starting to see the increase in obesity over here. The same as when you pop over to America and you see the enormous people.
You're Canadian, aren't you?
I'm Canadian.
Ah, well, I worked in Canada, and I know what you lot are like. You don't like the Yanks.
I think that's a bit of a generalization, Gary.
So what kind of food should we be eating?
Well, if basically you eat what was here 10,000 years ago, a caveman diet of good organic meat, good organic
Wild
vegetables.
boar.
Sorry?
Wild boar?
Wild boar's fantastic.
You can't get organic wild boar in my local supermarket.
You can always shop at local farmers markets.
Okay, but a local farmer's market, is that organic food?
It's less chemicals, less antibiotics.
How do you
everything.
get chemicals into beef?
Sorry?
How do you get chemicals into beef?
Well, the cows are injected with growth hormones. They're fed...
What?
The cows are injected with growth hormone because in the old days, a cow would spend 5 years getting fat from grass. Now they make them fat, ready for slaughter in 18 months. Same with chickens. They get them
What do they
ready
do with chickens?
in a third of the time by feeding them an unnatural diet and by pumping them full of steroids, antibiotics.
Okay, so if I eat chickens that are pumped full of steroids and antibiotics, sure, that's a good thing, because that means I get strong and I won't get any diseases. Can't you see the benefits?
Now, if you've seen what happens to bodybuilders once they pass 40...
Oh, but a chicken a day is not going to damage... We're not going to get like Hulk Hogan, are we? Or The Rock?
But these are small little things that build up in your system that aren't meant to be there.
Well, do you know what? Thanks for your advice. It's been very interesting talking to you. Thanks very much for your call. Next call, it is Graham Downs from Harwich. Hello, Graham.
Oh, hello, Gary. I'm actually from Harlow.
Oh, right, where the ferry goes from.
No, that's Harwich.
Right. What can I help? What's your first question?
Right. Well, Gary, with the health, with the health, right? I'm 23 stone, Gary.
Good. That's.
Yeah, I'm big, you know.
Yeah.
And it's been a problem for me because I've not been out of my house now for nearly 3 years.
Oh, goodness.
And well, my point really, Gary, is that it's a vicious circle, you know, with the weight, because with all the extra weight I carry, it makes the exercising very difficult to do.
Of course.
And if I can't do that, then that makes it... Do you see what I'm saying?
I can see what you're saying. And it must be very, very difficult living... Do you live on your own, or do you have someone who helps you?
Well, my mother, you know, but she's knocking on, Gary. It's very hard for her, you know, it's very hard.
Lifting and things like that?
Exactly, Gary. People can be very cruel as well, Gary. They can be very cruel.
Is that one of the reasons why...
Very cruel indeed.
Of course, is that why you don't go out very often?
Mockery, you know?
Is that why you don't go out very often?
Well,
because of the cruelty?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, you know, whether it's that or the weight in the first place. But obviously, the both factors, you know, have determined that I stay in a lot.
Of course.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people who are average weight or whatever, normal, would be thinking to themselves, surely, you know, he should just stop eating, you know, and that's probably a very crass thing to say. And I'm not suggesting you do that, but maybe you should try changing your diet, eating healthier, fresh vegetables.
Yeah, of course I have.
Yeah. And?
Well, trying all sorts of diets, Gary,
yeah.
You know, the brown rice, you know, the fish, vegetables, the carrots, broccoli, but, well, I mean, none of them really as satisfying as a whole box of sugar puffs, you know.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you very much, Graham. Thanks for being so open and honest.
Okay, can I just make one more point while I'm on the air, please, Gary?
Yeah, of course.
It's a pleasure talking to you, by the way.
Thanks.
My point is the foreign boys, they cause a lot of the trouble, don't they? The foreign boys.
Graham, I don't know about that.
Don't you think so, Gary? They cause a little bit, all the upsetting and all that trouble. Don't you think?
This is a place for free speech and things, but you've got to have a better justification to say things like that, do you know?
Right, yeah. Maybe I was being a bit unfair there, Gary.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing?
What?
Gary, I really would like to get married.
Got Becky Simmers on the phone now from Sydenham. Hello, Becky.
Hello, Gary.
Hi, what do you want to talk about down the line?
I've been listening to the Canadian lady who's been saying that, we should eat all the organic food, go to farmers markets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, farmers markets.
Well, I can't afford to do it. How can I afford to buy organic food, go to farmers markets?
No.
I give my kids what is in the house.
How many children have you got?
5.
5. And
so that's a lot of mouths to feed.
And also it's quite difficult to get children to eat anything that's too healthy.
Well, exactly.
They like their nuggets.
I've tried once, saying have a low-fat crisp, but they just will not take.
No.
They do not take.
What about buying like a single big roast chicken, for example, organic on a Sunday, make it worse?
No, there's nuggets.
There's
work
nuggets.
A week. Why did God invent nuggets?
Well, God didn't invent nuggets, did he?
Well, somebody very clever did.
No, you got a very good point there. Listen, that's a great call. Thanks very much for calling in. Next caller is Kenny Hogger from Walnut Street.
Hello.
Hello, Kenny.
All right.
What can I do for you? What's your point?
I'm reading up about the thing.
The thing, yeah? What thing?
Like, the blokes was reading about, what was he saying?
Which one?
All of them.
Well,
no, like,
yeah.
I can't remember what he said now.
Obesity? Was it about that?
Yeah.
Right, well, so, yeah.
What is it?
Well, it's overweight people. Are you obese?
Nah, mate.
Do you know anyone who's obese?
Oh, yeah, bundles.
Right, so have you got something to say about it?
Let's have a think. It's them, innit? If you want to eat that much food,
yeah,
eat it. But don't complain if you can't get out the door.
But it's an illness, isn't it?
Is it?
They can't help it, can they?
Of course they can help it. Put knife and fork down.
It's not just about eating food. It's about metabolism, isn't it?
About what?
Metabolism.
What's that?
Well, some people can eat, like, hardly anything, but they still put on loads and loads of weight.
What, ants?
No, not ants. Humans.
They don't get fat, do they? They carry things on their heads. I see a program on Discovery, right? An ant can carry the equivalent of, like, you carrying a whole, like, Tesco's on top of your head every day, 9 hours a day. And they'll work for the Queen. I do that and all. Call her the Queen, she ain't sometimes.
Thanks very much for your call.
Cheers.
Cheers, Kenny. Okay, I've got another caller in. It's Adam Frankel from Basingstoke. Hello, Adam.
Oh, hello. It's just a quick point I wanted to make.
Yeah.
It's been annoying me. I read that in Tesco's now, the petrol they sell, it's made up 5% of this new bioethanol stuff.
Right.
I mean, what's that all about? Oh, I can't work perfectly well with the petrol they were selling before. They keep mucking about with stuff and changing things. I mean, it gets on my nerves. It really does.
Well, thanks very much for your call.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Next caller is Sue Reynolds, and you're from Hornchurch. Hello, Sue.
Yes. Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Gary.
What can I do for you?
Well, I sympathise with the larger man who called in.
Yes.
Because I am actually pregnant. The thing is, he's moaning on about being large, but try being pregnant.
I love pregnant women. Do you know what I mean? That such a healthy glow and that womanly figure. You're ripe. Yeah. You're about to do what nature intended. Yeah. Fecund.
You what?
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is what you read in all the books and magazines, but I'm bored of it. I can't drink, I can't smoke. Everybody thinks I'm fat.
Yeah, I know, but
it's just boring. It's so boring, Gary.
You're carrying a lovely little child inside your stomach.
I know, but no fags.
And you're going to give birth to this beautiful little baby, and it's going to come out, and it's going to...
no fags for 9 months. I've had a couple, but, my doctor said I shouldn't have even had that, but a couple won't hurt, will they?
Well, maybe it won't. I don't think you should really smoke with babies. I know that they can come out stunted and things. things.
And Guinness, I suppose you can have half a Guinness.
I
But
think you should just enjoy this time where you're doing what we're all here on this planet to breed.
well,
Men and women, that's our
it's
job.
easy for you to say. You don't have to go through it. You know, I'm sick of this from men. Always, oh, you'll enjoy it, you'll love it.
Yeah, but listen,
I hate it.
But apparently...
I'm adopting next time. I hate it.
Okay, thanks very much for your call. Take care. Thank you very much, Sue. That was Sue Reynolds, who's pregnant. Ah, isn't that lovely? Pregnant women are like great big, lovely chocolates. Ah. Next call is Kenneth Pardue from Reading.
Hello there.
Hello,
yes.
Kenneth. Yes?
Well, actually, I suppose I really just say that I agree entirely with the previous two callers.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that? To their
Well,
points?
I was going to say a lot of stuff, but they've pretty well covered it.
But they both said different things.
Well, I can always see both sides of an argument.
Okay, well, thanks very much for your call.
That's okay.
Yes. My next caller is Ivor Moss from Exeter. Hello, Ivor.
Hello, Gary. How are you?
Hello. Fine, thank you.
Very good.
What's your point?
Well, I'm a blueberry farmer.
Oh.
Yes, and I'm sure that you're aware that the blueberry is one of the most potent of fruits.
It's very good for you, isn't it?
It certainly is. It has many health-giving properties. And I've written a short poem about the blueberry. Would you like to hear it?
Do you know what? I'd love to hear it.
All right, are you ready?
Okay.
Oh, beautiful blueberry, how I love thee. Yet what an elusive berry you seem to be. And how I lose my reason when you are not in season. Sometimes I search high and low, in fresh and wild, in M&S, but the hand of God touches you not. And then, in despair, I try orcado.com, orco.uk. That's a little silliness, Gary.
That's brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for that was a brilliant poem.
Thank you very much, Gary. Goodbye. I wish all the success with your show. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ivor. That was Ivor Moss there. That is perfect. That's what I was saying about Radio 4 listeners, you know. You're just so clever. It's so good. Lots more of those, please. I mean, I've never ever spoken to a blueberry farmer before. Who's the next caller? Hello?
Hello, Gary. Yeah, can I just say it's great to have a show like this on the radio.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I was calling in about the fella you had on earlier.
Yes, which one?
Talking about obesity.
Of course, yeah, Gary Downs.
That it's very often you'll find that obesity it's not to do with eating. It's a chemical thing. It's a there seems to be no rhyme or reason to it. It's like my wife and I we're average size.
Okay.
But our son,
Mm-hmm.
To put it, he's overweight.
Is he? How much overweight?
I wouldn't say he's necessarily obese. I don't know how you qualify, but he's definitely over. He's olden days we would have just said he's fat,
Yeah.
But there seems to be no reason for it. I mean, he eats exactly the same amount as we do.
But he eats the same as you do?
Yeah, exactly the same. So I see, it's not to do with what you eat.
And what, the same, so you...
Yeah, if we go to an Indian restaurant, he'll have the same portions as us. Well, and then when we eat at home, we always make sure that, he's not eating more than us.
How old is he?
He's 6.
Well, there you go.
What?
You can't really give a 6-year-old child a man-sized portion of Indian food.
Can you not?
Not if they're 6.
Oh. Lucky I called in.
It is lucky you called in. You should...
I'm going to go and tell him now.
Don't wake him up.
No, he's not in bed. He goes to bed the same time as us. I better stop him. He's just about to tuck into a bloody grape pie.
Next caller is Martin Hull from London. Hello, Martin.
Martin Hull, mate. Martin Hull.
Martin Hull.
Hello, Gary. How you doing? North
Fine,
London,
thanks.
yeah, Martin.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I want to say, Gary, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this was the 70s, right, we'd just say that bloke on earlier, he was fat. That's it. He's fat. He's greedy, isn't he? He eats too much. He's a fat bloke.
Yeah, but it's not the 70s anymore, is it? We've become a bit more passionate and compassionate now, haven't we?
I don't know what we've become, Gary, but I look around myself these days. I look around and, I wish it was the 70s sometimes, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah, at least you could call a spade then, couldn't you?
Thank you very much for your call. Okay, I've got Jerry from Whitlow. Hello, Jerry.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine. What are you calling about today, Joe?
Well, I'm calling in response to a call that I heard on your show earlier. Where the fella rang in to say that his children were overweight.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I'm ringing about my kids as well.
Yeah, they're overweight, are they?
No, they're not overweight, but there's something, the thing that worries me about them,
Right.
They really get on me nerves. Every time they open their mouths, shut up, will you, The rubbish that they come out with.
Right, how old are your children?
Well, my daughter's 12, my son's 17, and they're so sort of ungrateful about everything.
Yeah, I know
the
what
other
you
day,
mean.
I brought him home some bubble wrap to play with.
Yeah.
Now, I used to love that, popping the old bubble wrap and that, but they were just totally uninterested,
Okay, but listen, they are 12 and 17. I don't think a 17-year-old boy is going to be interested in bubble wrap, to be fair to him.
Well, maybe not, but you'd think they'd have a wee pop at it, wouldn't you,
Jerry, thanks very much for your call.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Hello, Dominic Wise, where are you from?
Oh, London.
From London, and what are you ringing up to talk about today?
So, all the foods, nice foods, are all cheap and they come quick.
All the nice foods are cheap and they come quick.
The other day I bought Burger King and I ate on the way home and I put the rubbish in my own bin, dustbin. And then when my mum come round, she said, "Have you been having Burger King again?" And I went, "No." She said, "What's this?" And pulled the wrappers out of my bin. So I looked like an idiot, unless she didn't believe me. I told her I got it from there and walked back with it and then put it in the bin. She thought I'd been using her knives and forks for eating up burgers.
Well, thanks, Dominic. That's certainly made me think twice about eating junk food. Now, if you're like me, you'll be pretty confused about the dangers of food, what with MRSA, BSE, bird flu, mad cow disease, CJD and whatever. And so I'd like to introduce our very special guest today, Professor Merlin Kidwell, a government food poisoning expert who can helpfully...
Merlin.
Pardon?
You called me Merlin. It's Mervyn.
Oh, sorry, I do apologise. Someone's written it down on my screen here as Merlin. Was that you, Polly? Yeah, she's nodding me through the glass. Yeah, I'll be having words later. Right, so, Mervyn, let's talk a little bit about food poisoning, shall we? And now, a lot of people bandy words around like salmonella. How does it work?
Well, salmonella is a type of bacterium usually found in poultry, eggs and unprocessed milk, but it can turn up in meat and water.
Oh.
It may also be carried by pets, like turtles and birds.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So a harmless turtle could be a killer?
Well, not the turtle itself, unless, of course, you're a jellyfish, but the bugs that it carries.
Actually, it was funny. I was just thinking that Merlin is a funny name. It's one you don't hear very often, do you, outside King Arthur films and that, if you think about it.
In the right conditions, one bacterium can multiply to more than 4 million in just 8 hours.
Really? Now, are all types of food poisoning caused by bacteria, yeah?
Most.
Go on.
I thought you were going to say something there.
No, I didn't think you'd finished.
Right, do you want me to continue?
Yes, please, yeah. You were saying it could be pretty serious.
Yes, the more bacteria present, the more likely you are to become ill.
So how can we guard against it?
Well, personal hygiene is vital and, of course, cooking food properly. These bacteria multiply best between 5 and 63 degrees centigrade, but are killed at temperatures of 7 degrees plus.
Right.
At temperatures below 5 degrees, most bacteria multiply very slowly, if at all, in fact. And at very low temperatures, some bacteria die, but many survive and can start to multiply again if warm conditions return. That is why proper cooking and chilling of food is essential to help reduce the risk of food poisoning.
Yeah, right. What are the main bacteria that cause food poisoning then? And do we know which is which, and how do we know how we picked it up or what we've picked up?
Well, salmonella, of course. Symptoms include vomiting and diarrhea. Campylobacter. Symptoms include vomiting and diarrhea. Clostridium perfringens, C. perfringens. Symptoms include vomiting and diarrhea. Listeria. Symptoms include
vomiting and diarrhea.
Meningitis and septicemia.
Right.
Bacillus cereus. B. serious. John McEnroe's favourite virus there. You cannot be serious. Yes, you can. It is, in fact, Bacillus cereus, and you are gravely ill. Symptoms include vomiting and diarrhea. Staphylococcus aureus, Staph aureus. Symptoms include vomiting and diarrhea. Norwalk-like viruses. Symptoms include...
So what was that? What was that one? Last one?
Norwalk-like viruses.
Norwalk-like viruses?
Yes, Norwalk-like viruses.
All right, and let me see. Symptoms include vomiting and diarrhea. Right, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's got that one. But how on earth do you remember all those weird names? Oh, I can't even remember my own sister's name and my girlfriend's, other people I meet.
Yeah, well, you got mine wrong earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, well, that wasn't my fault. Okay, we're talking about food poisoning. We've got a call now from James Bruce from Coventry. Hello, James.
Yes, actually, but my question is, why would anyone want to poison food in the first place?
Well,
that seems remarkable to me.
Hang on, you got that wrong. You don't poison food. It's about food poisoning.
What do you mean?
Mervyn.
Well, we're talking about food that's been contaminated and infected by bacteria.
I see what you mean. More than like you eat the food and then you get ill from it.
That's right. Okay, we've got another phone call coming in now, Professor, from Tish Fullerton from Goring. Hello, Tish.
Hi.
Hello.
Excuse me. I was phoning about food poisoning. I had a really awful experience.
What had you eaten, Tiff?
I think it was moo.
Yes, well, mussels are notoriously bad, actually, because they are filter feeders. They often found near sewage outlets.
Oh.
So they can cause problems, although primarily the main cause of problems with a bowl of mussels is if you, in fact, have a dead mussel within the batch.
Yes, well, you see, I knew about not opening closed ones, so I'd taken all of those out, and then I thought, well, I'll be all right now.
Yes.
And I just had the open ones. It was delicious.
Yeah.
And
Well, they are.
Well, you see, you soak up all the juices with some crusty French bread. It's great,
Lovely,
isn't
it's
it?
marvellous.
And then
That's okay, I don't like
Chablis,
it.
or maybe,
After-
or if
yes.
you can stretch to a Montrachet. Superb.
I think we have beer. But we got home, and it started really with gas. I mean, an awful gas. I can't tell you how awful the smells were.
Don't worry, I mean, we've all suffered from flatulence.
And that was the start of it. And then I
Well,
had to rush off. And,
Did you?
I was sick in the bathroom. I was
Was it
sick in the sitting room. It was absolutely awful.
But it was both ends.
Oh, yes, that came later. The diarrhea was something else.
What did your boyfriend make of this?
He was horrified by the mess.
He was probably gagging himself then, was he?
Oh, no, it was awful. You don't really want to see it.
It's not often that you have to cope with vomit and excrement simultaneously.
No, I never had. I didn't know the body could do
Well,
it.
it's your body's attempt to expel a foreign invader.
Well, the body is so efficient, I had no idea.
When you're in the middle of that chaos, though, you sort of resign yourself to it, don't you? You have no control.
I almost enjoy it. There's a feeling when you get to a certain point where you think, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Perhaps it's reminiscent of that helplessness when you're a small child and you're basically handing yourself over to somebody else and you're not responsible for...
By the end, I was sitting on the lavatory and throwing up in the sink at the same time, and I didn't know the body could do that.
You were convulsing, weren't you?
Literally, I was puking and shitting.
Thanks very much for your call. 0800 068 7060. Jacob, you're down the line.
Is that Radio 4?
Yes.
Well, have you a line to Channel 4, man? Because I'm watching JB Oliver upon the TV, the naked chef. I'm trying to make up a big sauce pot of pork and walnut. And a man go too fast. Him leave me for behind. Him scamper around the TV screen. Now I'm left. My sauce is all burn up. When my son come round tonight, man, he will lick me into a ladder, man.
You need to phone Channel 4, not this is Radio 4.
My son will bash my brains in if he sees his food I make for him now. You must call him, Jamie Oliver. Him go to... Man, him finish up to wash the plate now. I'm still trying to make the basic...
Right, Adam Joplin from Burnley. Hello, Adam.
Hi, Gary. Sorry, just having a drink of my coffee here. I'll tell you, I feel like I've been poisoned, food poisoned. I had a mixed soup of Vindaloo last night.
Right.
Washed down with 6 great big bottles of Cobra.
Well, that actually sounds like overindulgence rather than food poisoning.
Yeah, maybe, but how do they, eat food like that all the
Hang on. Who are they?
Well, them, the Pakistani people, the Asians.
The British Asians?
Well, whatever.
Well, they don't eat Vindaloo all the time, obviously. I mean, you don't eat roast beef and Yorkshire pudding all the time, do you?
No, last night I had a Vindaloo.
Well, exactly. You wouldn't have a Sunday lunch for breakfast on, I don't know, a Wednesday, would you? No, you'd have Golden Grahams. Bye, he's gone. Our next caller is Harry Hammond from Maidenhead. Hello, Harry.
Hello, yes. I'd like to ask your guest Merlin, is it?
Mervyn.
Yes, I've recently been diagnosed with a food allergy where I'm not allowed to eat brassicas, pitted fruit or nuts.
Yes, that's known as Gray's allergy, I believe.
That's right, that's correct.
Yes, and have you had drowsy tinklings connected with that?
Yes, I have a lot. You get a feeling, sound in your ears like there's beetles buzzing inside your head.
Right. An allergy is obviously not the same thing as food poisoning. An allergy is an autoimmune disease where your body is overreacting to something.
A little like the previous caller with the Vindaloo.
No, that was overindulgence.
Right. So, sorry, what was your question, Henry?
Well, I just wanted to say I've got this shooting pain in the heel of my foot, and I wondered if that could in any way be connected
Absolutely no way. Food allergies are very unlikely to manifest themselves in your foot.
Right, we've had lots of emails on this subject. Here's one from Elaine Clay, who says she has a severe eating disorder and it's no picnic. We've got one here from Brian Worth, who says he loves his food. And we've had one from Ahmed Hussein, who says God is great, God is great. Okay, let's go back to the phones now. We've got Claire Wellington here from Northern Ireland, Belfast. Hello, Claire.
Oh, hi, Gary. I'm a first-time caller.
That's good.
Thank you. I've got a question for Martin.
Mervyn.
Martin, my grandmother has not been very well. She's 90 years of age. She's healthy as far as I could tell, up to this point. She's got a love life. She's very unusual. She had a scan and I went to the hospital to see her and the doctors had sedated her. And the next time I went to see her, she wasn't looking so good, and they told me she'd fallen over.
Yeah, and had she eaten anything bad?
Well, this is the point I was going to make. It sounds like a very sad story there. I love old ladies as much as the next man. I don't want to sound callous here with regard to your relative, but my specialist field is food poisoning and not the sedation of old ladies.
Right. So you can't help me then?
I think it's something that you should perhaps take up with your local regional health authority.
GP.
Yes, possibly, but
how serious is something before you go beyond the GP?
How can I put this? You could go to a GP with a headache, but it could ultimately result
be a brain tumor,
exactly.
That's what happened to my dad.
Well, that's very sad.
We're not a lucky family.
Again, though, I have to say I have as much sympathy for people with brain tumours as the next man, but once again, I have to point out that my field of expertise is food poisoning and not melanomas, tumours, benign or otherwise.
Thanks very much for your call.
Thank you.
Okay, my next call is Serena O'Neill from West London. Hello, Serena.
Yeah, I want to ask about food poisoning because I've always been really terrified about food poisoning.
Pardon? Sorry?
I've always been really terrified of dying of food poisoning because I've had this dog once that we gave some uncooked meat to, and the next day it basically threw up everywhere and it died. We had to take it down.
Okay, yeah, slow down just a little bit.
Yes, what's the problem?
I'm basically really terrified about dying of food poisoning because I once had a dog that did.
Well, that's very sad. I mean, I have as much sympathy for dogs as the next man, but basic food preparation, washing of the food and thorough cooking will destroy most bacteria.
We did the summer cooking course. It was about 3 days, and the lady was a real bore. Anyway, she was really bad at teaching, so we couldn't really understand what she was on about. Anyway, we cooked it wrong, and we took it home. You can take everything home at the end of the course, which is really great. Because anyway, we decided we'd give it to the dog because we didn't really like the taste ourselves, but it was really uncooked. And
well, there you are. You see, therein lies the problem. The food, if it hadn't been cooked properly, then it could represent a danger to anything, any beast, other than vultures or insects.
Can you go to prison for killing a dog, murder dogs?
I don't think you could argue that it's murder. It'd be dog slaughter would be more appropriate, I think.
Dog slaughter. Can you get something on that, okay?
I have no idea, but you were the principal provider of the food, even though it had been cooked by another person. So
I once spoken to a lawyer before, and he said you can always get cases on anything. I mean, I once heard about this burglar who got sued. He was on the house, and he broke his leg while burgling someone's house. And he actually sued the lady.
Yeah, thanks very much for your call. That's interesting. All right, my next call is from Oscar Colkins from Great Titchley. Hello, Oscar.
Hello to you.
Hello.
I'm just ringing to say that I deliberately eat bad food because I enjoy the process of being sick. I like the colours.
Well, I'd love to stay and chat some more about that, but sadly, that's all we've got time for. I'd just like to say goodbye and thank you to our special guest, Martin Kidwell. And join me, Gary Bellamy, on Down the Line again next week.